I'm joined now by artist Christy Scott Arbogast. Christy, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I told you when you came in, I'm especially excited because I own some of your work and purchased it before I knew that you were going to be a guest. So obviously I'm a fan.
Thank you.
I want to know the origin of your beautiful work. When did you start creating these, I don't know, I would call them social commentary?
Well, after I had my son, I really struggled with postpartum depression. And before that, I had always done a lot of photography. And, you know, once you have a kid, you can't leave to go do whatever you want.
Yes. Yes.
So one day, like in my house, my mom always did embroidery, and a piece of hers that I had never seen before fell at my feet. And I just took it as a sign. And so I started stitching a little. Well, then when I would stitch, I'd miss photography. And then when I would do photography, I'd miss stitching. So one day I thought, like, what would it be like if I mixed the two together? Well, then 2016 came about. And I felt very like a way to kind of have a voice and give voice to others that, you know, made me feel unheard. So that it just kind of organically went from there.
That is incredible. So before all of that, before you started even into photography, did you consider yourself an artist? Did you have a creative outlet?
My mom always stitched, or she would do the paint by numbers, which was really popular in the 70s. She had a bunch of children and she had a lot of stress. And so she would just sit quietly and just stitch and chain smoke away and paint by number.
What a sign of the times.
Right.
So you felt like a creative outlet in that way was just sort of natural.
So I would just like doodle and stuff like that, and I would draw. I really wanted to be a painter, but a painter I am not. So,
also same.
Right. And my dad was really into photography, and I always loved photography, especially vintage photography. And in college, I studied like the history of vintage photography and stuff like that. So,
well, that is one of the things, one of the many things that I just loved so much about your work. You find vintage photos, you embellish them by stitching, but then also you add quotes and maxims. They are just so cool.
thank you.
Where does the inspiration come from? Do you have the idea first and then find the perfect photo? Or do you find a photo and then the idea of how to embellish it comes?
Both.
Okay.
Yep. Both. Sometimes, I know it may sound weird, but a lot of times, like I go to estate sales, picker sales, antique shops, thrift stores, and I'll just see something and she'll just speak to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's what she really wanted to say.
Yes. I think that is such a beautiful part of what you do as well. It's kind of that juxtaposition between who that woman presents or how that woman presents and what maybe was really going on.
Yes.
So you mentioned estate sales, picker sales. How else do you acquire these photos?
Some people just donate them to me. I had a friend that donated that somebody had given to her just a huge bag of these photos from the early 40s, and they were all nuns and priests in college. And they did it very differently back then. Everybody chain smoked.
Yes.
But they were young and they were playing football, in a way that you never see.
Clergy.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. But yeah, just a lot of people donate, or friends have given me some. They're like, I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah. Okay. Do you embellish the original photo or do you scan them? How does that happen?
In the past, I would do the original, and it was always kind of hard to part with some of them.
Yeah.
So I in the past couple years, I scan them and then I reprint them and I go from there. So I have a few that are original, but for a majority of them are reprinted.
I'm so interested in your thought process sort of before you put proverbial pen to paper or needle to photo or canvas. When you, for example, got the bag full of clergy photos, are you going through one by one and like jotting down ideas as to what you want to do on them, or do you just take it one at a time? How does that happen? Because I can't imagine.
Oh, I'm not good at like pre-planning at all. I just kind of, I'll see something, I'll have the idea, and I'll just go straight for it. Or sometimes I'll just have the photo and I'm like, well, this is really cool. I don't know what to do. And I'll just kind of hold on to it and then just wing
Until
it.
hits you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that you are scanning and you have the ability to reproduce the photos, do you ever find a woman in particular that you feel like she has a lot to say, so
yes.
you use the same image
Yes.
several times?
Definitely.
I love
Absolutely.
that. I love that.
Yeah, I have quite a few, and I feel like I know them personally now. I know it sounds weird, but
No, but again, when you feel like you are giving voice, and even if it's not to that specific person, you know, it's sort of the general consensus,
Right.
perhaps.
yes.
Do you ever fear that you'll run out of material, that you will run out of things to say or, you know, messages to convey?
I have a couple times, and then you watch the world news and you realize other people will give you some inspiration.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I would imagine that all it takes is a few minutes
About 5 minutes on the world news.
Yeah. Is that ever depressing? That you have so much
Yeah.
to comment on?
Yes. Yeah. I guess I hadn't thought about it in that terms, but yeah, it really is. It's kind of sad that there's always going to be something to comment on.
Yeah. Does it help you mentally, emotionally kind of work through your feelings to be able to express yourself this way?
Oh, definitely. Yes, definitely. It saved my life. I was in that really deep that most moms go through.
Yeah.
It's being a new mom can be a very lonely place. And I was an older mom. And so your hormones are like,
Yes, I relate so deeply.
yes.
And I love that you found a creative expression giving voice to women in large part, especially because so many women postpartum and obviously otherwise, but they don't have a
so
voice.
hushed
Yes.
too. People don't talk about it. I remember contacting a couple other people that had just recently had a child. I'm like, "Are you feeling this?" Well, I did, but I just didn't say anything.
Yes.
Where I'm pretty like very forward with like my own parade.
Yes, I'm constantly like, it's so hard,
Yes.
right? Right? Can
Yes.
somebody-
I'm freaking out. I'm super anxious today.
Yes, yes. I wish that I had thought to channel my feelings in a beautiful way, like
Thank you.
like you did. Do you create every day?
Yes, I stitch probably anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
I just sit there. I watch my favorite shows. I'm a big fan of the BBC and period dramas and stuff. So I just watch my Downton Abbey or whatever. and-
Yes. Which I imagine helps with your work as well.
Yes.
It's, you know, some of these women not saying what they
Yes.
want to say or saying it
Yes.
and paying for the repercussions. That's incredible.
Thank you.
What do you think your work has taught you about yourself?
Oh gosh. To be a good listener, try to be a good listener of other people. to be humble, to respect where our history as women comes from. You know, even in the Downton Abbey period, that was one of the like big waves of feminism.
Yeah.
And you notice that with, had talked to somebody about it like a year ago, a friend of mine, she's like, really? And I was like, yeah. I said, well, think about it. They were fighting for the vote. And I said they were going against social norms. They started wearing pants.
Yes.
That was a huge thing. They started cutting their hair in the flapper style. Flappers were like
Yeah.
huge. Like that was a big game changer,
Yeah.
and like kind of set the tone for women being able to be like, okay, I don't have to have my hair down to my butt or my knees. I can do
I
what
don't have to wear a
want.
corset.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And there a lot of that's talked about in the show.
Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting how they pull all that together. So
Well, obviously, I love your work, and it's so incredible that you are a good listener. You're more than a good listener because you hear what goes unsaid or what
Thank
went
you.
unsaid. And
what a
and
great way to put it.
it's
Thank you.
that's how I feel about it. That yeah, that you are giving voice to a lot of women who are wherever they are now are saying, "Well done, Christy." Yeah, yeah. So thank you for the work that you
you.
produce and for turning darkness into beauty.
There's
That's-
always light.
Yeah.
There's always light.
Yeah,
Even if
and-
it's just a little dot, there's
But
always
you
light.
found it and have made the world a more beautiful place
Aw,
for it.
thank
So
you.
thank you, and thank you for taking the time to sit with me
Thank you
today.
for having me. I really appreciate it.
For more information, find Soul Dirt Stitchery on Instagram.
Arts in Focus on PBS Fort Wayne is funded in part by the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne,